Hello, and welcome to a new Heroes of Mana Magic video. In this video, I'm going to be presenting you a template that I've been liking quite a bit, and I believe that many people would actually like it if they gave it more of a try. And the template that I'm referring to, as you can tell by the title, is going to be Memory Lane. It is the first selected template because it's the last that I've played, and I want to tell you all about it. I want to present to you what it offers and the kind of gameplay that it provides, and also just give you like a basic strategy guide on how you should be playing this template so you have great success throughout your journey. So right now we're going to be just generating in a game with no timer so I can show you the map. So the premise of this map is actually pretty simple. All the formats that we usually play these days, like Duel, MTGO, even like the 8-0 formats like Gibbous Cross, they're pretty hyper. And there's not really much of a build-up. You don't usually build mage guilds, you don't usually build incomes, because the map provides you with everything that you need without having to invest into your town. This template, however, is far more poor. And the poorness makes it so you have to like invest a lot into your actual town. You build up creatures, you build up power stacks, and you can do a lot with that. So also the map layout is, well, one, it's a really big map, and two, it's pretty complicated. So let me tell you all about it. We will be using a cheat code in order to like see the entirety of the map. And I'm just gonna go from our initial zone, and we're gonna be going outwards to see more and more zones as we go. So first up, you will see, like, your zone doesn't really have like too much. We'll have like a few crypts, some resources. We'll have notably one gold mine, which is really precious in case you were to be able to get it, but it's usually not a very easy task for your starting army. And then it will also have like one sawmill and one ore pit, guaranteed. And then you're going to be able to break out, pretty easily by the way, into two sides. There's going to be the 3k card and the 6k card. Whenever we say 3k or 6k, this is like template generator sort of way to refer to zones. And it refers to the size of the guard guarding the break to a different zone. So this is the 3k guard. It usually spawns as like lots of Troglodytes, something like super easy to kill. And the 6k guard is gonna be double the value, so it can be like lots of tier 2 creatures, maybe sometimes like tier 3, tier 4, and so on. Most usually, you're gonna be wanting to go into your 3k zone. Your 3k zone will have one of each mine, which is really important in this format because you will probably want to build out a mage guild in order to get your control spells. You will want TP, DD, and fly for the long game. You will also likely want to be building a capital here. The sooner the better. Yes, capital rush meta is back with this template, and that is absolutely awesome. Many of these zones can actually be told apart from one another by their terrain. So your 3k is always going to be grass. And most usually, you can also tell which zone is which because the 3k zone is usually a portal, a green portal. And the 6k zone is usually a walk, you know, just a road from your main town, and is dirt terrain always. So this is how you can tell these two zones apart. The 6k zone, if you're wondering by the way, doesn't really have too much. It has like all sorts of random things. It will have like creature banks, it will have dwellings, it will have boxes, not this one apparently. And also, the boxes, every single box in the map will be a random box. So not like Duel or MTGO, where every box is going to be army. Every single box is going to be random. So the 4 options available is going to be gold, experience, spells, and of course, army. Then when you take big boxes, you want to make sure that 1, you have wisdom, and 2, you have a spell book, that in case it spells, it will not go to waste. Because if you get a spell box and you are not able to learn the spells, the box will appear as empty. And that, of course, getting an empty Pandora box is like a big morale swing downwards. So let's continue through the map, shall we? In the 3K zone, of course, we have like the mines, as I mentioned, which is like the main thing of it. It will always have a stables team. All position stables is like a very powerful tool to be had in the early game. And then it will be breaking out into quite a few zones. It will actually be connected to your 6K by an off-road car, but this is or a portal, by the way. But this is usually not really impactful. This is not a connection that you should be looking for. What you should be looking for is a swirly portal, okay? So by the portal types, you can actually tell what kind of zones you will be going to. So you are going to be having a swirly portal leading into your conflict zone. And as you can see, we very much indeed find a conflict zone that you're going to be able to access pretty easily, usually on week 1, unless you're busy flagging mines, of course. Then in this zone, you're going to be able to like build out the mage guild here in case your starting town, like mine right now, can only go up to level 3. You want to build a level 5 mage guild, so the conflict town is going to be perfect for doing so. Well, not necessarily perfect, but rather is at the very least okay. Of course, Tower is going to be your best bet for a mage guild because the library produces like insane value for finding the spells that you want. Then the other 2 zones that the 3K is going to be attached to is going to be 2 more randomish zones that will have 40 towns that you will be able to play with. So if your starting faction is weak, for example, Fortress is usually, you know, just builds out some Wyverns, like building out Hydras is not really good. If you were to find a Council zone, you might actually want to build Stables here, you might want to build Angels here for the long term, and, you know, like checking out these zones, what faction they are. By the way, for this zone, the terrain is going to be random and representing the faction that it hosts. Then we can see the other zone. Oh yeah, and the other one is going to be also a random town, but this one is going to be not forted. Then, every single one of these zones, as I believe, is going to be leading to another connector zone, which is going to be the Inferno. Inferno is usually pretty big and has a lot of portals because it's such a connector zone. And this zone is all about usually just value. It will have like big boxes that you can deal in order to try to find spells or experience or whatever else you might want to be doing. And also will usually have like a lot of creature banks. There's usually like a Utopia thrown in here. And very notably, it is off-road connected to a Treasury. We're going to be getting into treasuries in a little bit, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Treasuries are a very important aspect of this template. So yeah, if we go over back through this portal, we're going to be back in our 3K. It will be connecting over to like another zone here, and this zone should be connecting once again back to the same... Wait, no, back to another zone with a town that is then connected to the Inferno. Yes. So this is the kind of path that you can be taking. And then your Inferno, very notably, has also a path that you can use to push aggressively towards your opponent. This is the it's gonna be connected to one extra zone that you cannot get to from any other place than the Inferno. That will be your path to the opponent if you want to just like run at him. And this is gonna be connected to the opponent's 6K. So there's basically like 2 routes. It's basically this template ends up being like a circle if you walk through it all. Right now we are gonna be connected to the opponent's 6K here. Yeah, so this is the opponent's 6K area, and here we can see him being spawned. Actually, this is the 6K zone. There's one more zone in between, and that's how we would get to him. So to repeat, if we want to get to the opponent, we go one of 2 ways. We can either get to the Inferno zone by going into one of these other zones, taking the next portal to get to the Inferno. The Inferno is going to be connected to another zone that is not one of your own, at least initially. And then it will have a portal over to a zone that is connected to the opponent's 6K. And, you know, and if you intuitively think, that means our 6K also leads to the opponent. So the other way to get to the opponent would be from our starting area. We could be breaking into our 6K. Here we have our castle here. Then we take a zone further. then there's gonna be like a big guard. By the way, if you want to rush the opponent, there is gonna be like a big road guard here. We beat the Black Knights on the other side. This time it was also Nyx Warriors. And this is gonna be connected to the opponent's Inferno. Of course, both you and the opponent are gonna be having like the same map layout. So, you know, like this path works both ways. But most usually, you don't really want to road rush your opponent. You just want to be farming your own areas and getting control spells and then using Dimension Door to close the gap onto him. Because, you know, just walking through the entire map is a lot of time. And that time can be utilized usually quite a bit better. And the way that you would utilize that time is usually farming treasuries. So there are two schools of thought currently in memory lane meta. One is that you just sit cozily behind, you build a capital, you gain your resources, you build a mage guild, and when you have control spells, you just go over into the treasuries. And there is another kind of playstyle where you just get like on week 2 or start of week 3, you get as much army as you can by just building up, doing 1 or 2 creature banks in your own areas, and then you go into a treasury. Treasuries are never connected by roads. There's not a single road in any treasury, and that's how you can tell them apart. I believe there are like 4 or 5 in the template. Actually, I'm not exactly sure. But they are very easily distinct by the quantity of objectives, by the size of the guards. There's gonna be like your tier 7s, lots of them. There's gonna be relics on the ground. There's gonna be 2 utopias per zone, 1 library per zone. And they will also they will also be connected to each other by portals. So, yeah. You can also tell, like, which zones are treasuries by their terrain. Every single treasury zone always has, like, the same terrain. So, for example, the Inferno is always connected to the Wasteland Treasury. Okay, as you can see, my 3K is connected to a Wasteland Treasury. We can just go here. And my opponent's 3K, Inferno, is also connected to a Wasteland. I urge you to not get too lost in these zones. When you play, it's gonna become really intuitive. It's like a lot of information immediately, but you know, after you play a game or two, if you look back, you're probably gonna be like, oh, that makes sense to me now. So yes, you either build up till you get control spells, or you immediately go into a treasury. The reason why you would want to go into a treasury is because you're going to be far more likely to find control spells. Like, for example, if we just went here, we could find a Spellbinder's Hat for our Dimension Doors. And we can also do Utopias for control spells. And every zone necessarily has one and only one scroll in it. Let's see if we can find this zone scroll. Am I blind? Is it behind something? Anyway, abort. Let's look at a different treasure zone. So yeah, you see, this is a treasury, and it has exactly 1 spell scroll, and these are very important in case you're not a Mage Guild gamer, because this scroll is necessarily a control spell. Control spells include Town Portal, Dimension Door, and Fly. So we're going to be getting one of these 3 in the scroll, Town Portal. So let's say we ventured out here, like really far, walked all through this treasury zone, farming it up, and now we have Town Portal to be able to like go places to all the towns that we probably flagged in the early game. Yeah, so that is also like a way to find control spells here. As far as the map layout goes, that is almost it. Then some gameplay recommendations are going to be such. Build a capital, and do not be greedy, okay? Like, slow and steady usually wins the race in this template. You want to be accumulating army, not losing army. So if you get some army, then you like do like a hard fight, lose most of it, you have to like reset and, you know, rebuild it. It's better to just be accumulating army and do a lot of easier fights rather than some harder fights. That's like one thing. Then second is that Wisdom is an S tier skill here. Wisdom is usually, in most other formats, kind of a death skill, because you can gain control spells through other means, either getting them at the beginning of the game in duel, or you're going to be finding like a lot of relics that will give you like Tome of Air magic, Tome of Earth magic that will let you cast Town Portal, Dimension Door. However, in this format, Wisdom is rather necessary to gain those crucial spells. Naturally, you want Earth Magic and Air Magic to be able to cast these control spells at an expert level 2. So yeah, make sure that your skill trees include Wisdom, Earth, and Air Magics. And yeah, I encourage you to play it with your friends. The map layout is also like pretty adventurous feeling, you know? You don't have to go into this template thinking that, hey, I should know like where to go, where what is. I played this basically like blind, not knowing what zones are what, and it's a lot of fun. It feels adventurous, you know, like back when you were generating maps without knowing like even what a random map template is, you would just load up the default template pack and you would just generate something. This kind of feels like that. And that's why the template's name is Memory Lane, because it's here to recreate that sort of adventurous feeling, that sort of build-up mentality and everything like that. And for these reasons, this template is very wonderful. The template is made by Specialista. I will be linking to his Discord for Memory Lane. There you can find all the rules for the format, which is actually not many at all. You can just go do wherever, whatever you want, and you will usually not be breaking any rules. So yeah, on his Discord you're going to be able to find the latest version of Memory Lane for download, rule guide. If there's going to be any updates, you can also find it over there. So yeah, I would like to applaud Specialista for making a wonderful one-hero format that is a lot of fun. Oh, and also another thing that I will mention that you should know, one of the only things that you know, the way that this format is usually played is that you get to buy, this is a one-hero format, but you get to buy one extra hero at the beginning of the game. So, of course, I would probably buy out Alkin, and I would like fuse it with the rest of my Fortress army, and I would have like more army at the beginning. Then the side hero is going to be just probably picking something up or scouting, and then he has to be deleted at the end of the turn. And also, he cannot take any fights. So yeah, and then you continue the game as normal. A really fun way to play this template, and what I usually do is random with Tavern Choice. That means you go all random, but you can also swap to a hero that you find in the tavern, and that produces like a fun layer of depth to the game. It's quite a bit of fun to find like some really cool heroes in the tavern and then getting to play them in the Soul format. So, hope you guys enjoy your Memory Lane games, and yeah, I'm hoping to see you on the Hotel Ladder. Thanks for watching, and till next time.